Hey, everybody, welcome to the ReCoop. I'm Cooper Daniels, and I'm a guy that knows a little about a lot. And today we're here with the guy that seems to know a lot about a lot, Aaron Martinez. He is the founder of Headline News, Algo Pay, Forum, Social Network, Algo Cloud, Libra Network, Pipline UI. Dude, Aaron, I think I believe you if you said you created the ReCoop. It seems like you've created everything, man.
Well, I can only do so much in a day, right?
That's it. How
Yeah.
you doing?
Oh, I'm doing
What
great. Yeah.
What did I miss, by the way? Did I miss anything?
Oh, I'm pretty sure you did. I was about to look behind me and see if there's projects up there that we haven't talked that weren't on that
Yeah,
list. I think that you definitely got the main ones, I
good for
believe.
me. Yeah,
Algo Cloud, did you say that one? I
I
forget.
did say. I think I said Algo
You
Cloud.
said that one? Cool.
I said that one. Now it's a new one, right?
Yeah. We started
Yeah.
on that. This is actually a funny story.
Let's hear
I
it.
guess we'll just start there real quick. Why not,
Let's
right?
do it. Yeah.
So, after Algo Pay came out and people started to integrate it, people got pretty excited about it.
Hmm.
People were talking on Reddit about ways to like improve it or different features that'd be cool to add to it. And somebody was like, it would be great if there was a dashboard for people to be able to connect all their different dApps and be able to keep track of where their tokens are or how much is being staked on different platforms, like basically an analytics dashboard, but still had features that could work with Algo Pay. So
Hmm.
this all came out of a comment on Reddit. And for the last like 2 weeks now, we've been grinding, basically building a like full suite of tools for people within like a private dashboard to connect all their different Algorand applications.
So the moral of the story is, if you want to see something, just comment on your Reddit, and you'll make it happen in within weeks. Is
Yeah,
basically,
I mean,
yeah.
basically, or for me, it'd be maybe like don't read any more comments because your plate's pretty full at this point.
I mean, for real. We
Yeah.
we actually we talked. I checked right before this. It was about a month ago, and I was like, man, so much has happened in that month. I think it's about time that me and you reconnect and kind of catch up on it. So let's start, because shortly thereafter, after our last talk, you went to the Texas Blockchain Summit. How did that go?
Oh, that was very insightful.
Yeah.
We went there expecting maybe like 200 or 300 people. We hadn't really met anybody in Texas that was like part of the blockchain industry, so we weren't really sure what kind of a community there would be for it. And we weren't really sure like if Austin was the place where that hub would be, or if it'd be in Dallas or Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So we went there expecting like 200 or 300 people. There were like easily 1,000 people there,
Yeah.
and really interesting. There were a lot of people from the energy industry, which is interesting. So apparently, there's a little bit of a move within the oil and gas industry to start integrating Bitcoin mining. So, so there are some different ways they're doing it. One of them is like pretty like, I wouldn't say eco-friendly because there's not a lot in that industry that is, but basically
Right.
like they're siphoning off I don't almost feel like I don't know enough about this subject to talk about it, but it's like they're siphoning off the excess gas from wells, and then they're using that to power their mining equipment for Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
there
No,
were a
I've
few
read
companies there
something
just
about
for
that.
that.
Yeah. And so, I
Interesting.
mean, if they have excess energy, to use it to create, you know, to, I'm sure, income for them, like, that seems to make a lot of sense. And at least that energy
Yeah.
gets used. But
Right, but then some of the other companies were saying that they just bought a bunch of property to drop some wells specifically for mining Bitcoin too.
so
So there's
there's
some
two.
companies that are going to try to like um to try to do it like in an eco-friendly way, and there's a couple
Right.
others that are like, yeah, we're just in it to make money. So there's a mixed bag out there at
Isn't
the
there
blockchain summit for it.
isn't there enough pressure in the entire, like, investment space for ESG that these companies at least have to pretend that it's for environmental reasons? Or
I think they were saying that they wanted to put a like a solar panel or a wind generating thing on the property as well, or something. Some of them, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna have to put in some kind of system where it's like if they are going to be using this much energy, then hopefully they'll be planting some trees or something to
yeah,
offset the. I don't know.
right.
Those were just some of the people there. We met a lot of interesting people though.
Yeah, for sure. What was I going to say? Because I know that there's a company. Oh man, just like you said earlier, it's like, is it even worth talking about because of how little? I'll probably misspeak. So we'll move on. So, okay. So there's interesting oil. I mean, obviously Texas is one of the hubs. I mean, I think it's Texas and Wyoming. So these are the two kind of most exciting spaces or, regions in the United States for blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Right. So there were three. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's good. There's three what?
There were three sitting U.S. senators that spoke there. Both Texas senators, Ted Cruz and John Cornyn, and the senator from Wyoming as well. I was kind of disappointed with Ted Cruz's chat. It was going pretty well in places, but at the end it was kind of disappointing. He kind of like framed it towards the end of their conversation, like basically supporting Democrats at all will mean that they'll take all your money and are going to ban crypto. Right. And he failed to mention that like 2 weeks earlier, a sitting representative in the House that's a moderate Democrat just proposed some common sense crypto regulation that's getting completely ignored. So when you see politicians that kind of stoop to like really partisan positions on a subject that's really not a partisan subject, crypto's not. There's like people on both sides of the aisle, from every different walk of life that are supporting the movement. But framing it like he did as a partisan issue at the end of his talk was like really disappointing. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, you felt like
this is
maybe
a pretty intelligent audience. Nobody's gonna, yeah. So
well, yeah, and then you start to maybe create doubt on his intentions. Is this just a political move, or does he actually believe in the space and the innovation and all that?
I can't really make a judgment on that just because I'm, as far as I understand it, he hasn't spoken too much about crypto in the past. And with politicians, I always try to take, I try to like compartmentalize their statements almost, because if they can, sometimes they do like rise to a higher level, and can actually like get beyond the partisan issues. Like, it's so bad in the House that if you're a freshman representative and you go to the House, like the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get approached by a senior member that's going to have to sit down with you and basically say that there's like no getting across the aisle, especially as a that's how like hard they drive the partisan divide when you first get there. So I will elevate or like promote any politician that tries to get above the partisan fray, essentially. So
I think that's so important. Yeah. And by the way, in the infrastructure debate a couple months ago, it was Cynthia Lummis from Wyoming, it was Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, and it was also Ron Wyden from the Democrat from Oregon. So there is a bipartisan group of people that want sensible regulation and want to make sure that United States keeps the lead in the innovation in this space, because it would be a real shame to allow other places to lead here. But yeah.
So we're like on the verge of something really big happening in the regulation space. The question is, will it be the right thing? Because if they come down on the wrong side of whether it's stable coins or allowing banks to hold crypto, and there's so many issues about this that it's like, if the people making the laws aren't really informed, then they could really screw this up to the point where it could almost be like 93. But if they didn't pass safe harbor for website builders, it would be really easy to drop the ball because it's such a complicated issue. So making sure that the legislators are well informed is definitely like priority number one. I believe for like all the companies that have lobbying arms, like Coinbase has a big one now. There's a few major companies that are like, basically our entire like company is going to depend on whether or not we can get legislators to start playing ball. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfurls.
Yeah, because if the regulators get it right, or if they get it close to right, then that is going to unlock, not that the money and the price is the most important thing, but oh my God, like if the world and these like sovereign funds, global, get the green light to invest in the crypto space, and the United States gives a clear idea of how they're going to regulate it, so much money is going to pour into the space. It's going to be insane. So,
right.
Right.
So, and then on the opposite side, if they don't do that, it's going to push all of it overseas, and the US is going to get left behind in the next 10, 15 years. Because, most people that understand what's going on are like, this is going to be transformative. It's a transformative industry. It's going to shake everything up. So coming down the wrong side of it would be catastrophic.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this Shiba Inu, Dogecoin pump that we're all seeing right now isn't some evil ploy to give the crypto space a bad name. But
you never know, right? I mean, somebody would have to have a lot of money to throw around to like really just try to stick it to the crypto people.
Yeah, right. Or
someone that really doesn't want to give their kids their inheritance, and it's like a multi-billionaire. It's like, I'm just going to burn all of this on a meme coin
on Shiba. All right, so let's. Okay, Texas was great. You had a great time. You learned a lot. You met some great people. It was great. So, okay. Also, since we last talked, you went live with your beta for the Forum social network. How's that going?
Yeah, so that was really exciting. I honestly wasn't sure how it was going to go. I've never had to manage a platform that hosted a lot of users simultaneously, because the number of users that are connected to a platform at any one time uses like server power, and I wasn't sure like if my servers were going to break or if everything was going to be able to handle the traffic. But we had absolutely no server downtime. We have like 250 beta users right now. Mm-hmm. No hiccups at all with the entire launch. It has gone basically flawlessly, and to the point where it went so well that I let everybody know like 2 days ago that we were going to reopen the beta, and we're going to let another 300. So we'll have a little over 500 beta users before the end of the week.
Yeah, I missed that first sign up, and so I signed up yesterday. But from what I'm hearing, on social media and in Discord, I guess that's social media. But from what I'm hearing, it's going well, and people are impressed. So
yeah, there's a few features that we're still going to be looking to add. So there's a couple things to do with posting that are kind of confusing to people. If you don't understand Markdown, and Markdown is one of the elements that's used for making posts, it's almost like mixing elements of MySpace with Facebook at this point, which is really interesting, because I remember back in the day, like making MySpace, and before that there was Zanga, I believe, that you could like as a user, you could like edit certain things, by putting in like code snippets, and you can kind of do that in Forum as well. But we want to add more Twitter type elements too. One great suggestion somebody had was making it so you don't have to have a title for a post when you post something, because right now you have to have a title and then a body for posts, almost like a microblog. But somebody was suggesting we not do that, so that you could do like blurb type posts like with Twitter. So that's what we're looking into right now.
Cool. Yeah, wasn't there something called Friendster? Was Friendster a thing?
I think so.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been like. I mean, I'm old enough to. I mean, I was on MySpace. Barely, but
barely.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big social media guy.
Got it.
But what was his name? What was the guy's name on? Do you remember? There was like a guy that everybody was friends with on MySpace. Do you remember?
Tom.
Thank you.
There's some people on Reddit that call me the Tom of Algorand, or the Tom of.
Oh, do they call you? Do they?
Apparently,
yeah. You should have like you should be friends with everybody. Aaron, I like it. Tom.
Well,
Aaron.
When you sign up for Forum, it suggests following me as like the first person to follow or whatever.
Perfect. Well, I look forward to checking it out.
I need to like take a picture like Tom, like just like against that same wall, and like dress just like him and be like
Tom 2.0. Tom 2.0. Yeah. I'm picturing him right now. I have his image in my face, or in my head. All right. So it's going well. You're happy with it. There's been no downtime, and people are enjoying it. And you're saying that there is little things, like I think somebody said that like in order to post a YouTube video, you have to post a little bit of code or something, or
it's just like, it's called a liquid tag. It's just a way of posting a link that makes it work really like seamlessly with the platform. And so there's different like little UX things like that we're going to be improving, but in the short period, like in the short term, I don't know if we'll be able to change any of them, because we're stretched a little thin right now, I guess you could say, because of everything that we're working on. So our plan with Forum right now is to get a lot of really great feedback, and that's like the main point of beta, right? Before you do like a big launch, you can like really like gauge the interest in different types of features to find out, or like really drill down which things need to be improved before you do a major launch or not. So we're probably not going to be making any like platform changes while we're still in beta, essentially,
Right.
which gives us some breathing room with some of these different features people would like to add.
Yeah. So other big news, I mean, we can get back to form if we've missed anything, but in other big news, you found an equity partner. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So Crimson Digital Capital is a investment firm in Alabama, and they're launching an Algorand fund for ecosystem projects, as well as like straight exposure to Algorand through Defi offerings as well. And they approached us about, I want to say 6 or 8 weeks ago. It was right when we did the last airdrop, and the head of the fund there said he was really interested in investing in Headline Inc. So we were in talks to set up a investment plan the last few weeks, and we finally were able to roll it out and announce it to the whole Algorand community on Tuesday, I believe.
And you had said that he actually, before we hit record, you said that he actually participated in the airdrop before reaching out to you.
Yeah, so like most of like our like biggest supporters we have found them like through doing the airdrops, and that was a really interesting thing. So we did 2 free airdrops and then like a micro one, but that doesn't really count. And we like most of our that's how they discovered us. And even since then, like that's been a big thing because it like lets them learn a lot about us, but at the same time getting something out of it, because a lot of startups talk about doing something, but if they don't have anything substantive, it's either you lose interest in them, you don't really know if they're reliable or not, you don't know what the stakes are for anything. But yeah, so that was a great introduction. And he's going to be, and this is the biggest part of why, the biggest reason it's a big deal is because he's going to be our Ethan Welch is his name. He's going to be our lead investor in our upcoming Reg A that we're going to be doing. And that's a requirement by the SEC that you have a lead investor in order to do that kind of round. So,
so that's huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like, it's really hard to describe what we're doing on paper. It's like, good luck trying to put Headline Inc. in one sentence, let alone a paragraph.
Right.
So, and we've talked to a few different VC firms already too, but it's hard to explain it to people that aren't like intimately familiar with everything we're working on. It's interesting. Like I've watched a lot of videos where like VCs talk about how to get VCs' attention, all these things, and they always say things like, you have like 2 minutes to get their interest because they have 500 meetings a week or whatever. So if you can't do it in 2 minutes, then or there's all kinds of things like that because they have to intake so much data. And a big part of VCs is like risk management. And if you don't fully understand something, then you're going to be a lot less likely to be interested in investing in it, especially as a seed investor. So I realized pretty early on that we weren't going to be able to pitch Headline to an investor. You can't really pitch this because it's too complicated.
Well, yeah, I mean, I watch enough Shark Tank to know that to know that they say you need to focus it, you need to focus on this, or you need to, and like even when we talked a month ago, I thought to myself, I was like, man, he's got a lot on his plate. I wonder if he's going to be able to execute on these things. And then in just a simple month, I just see you making progress on all of these different things. I'm pretty impressed. I'm not going to lie. And how, I guess maybe on a personal level, how do you, because I know it's you and a guy named Brian, right? Is that you and a guy named Brian? So
right.
I hate to put it that way.
There's a couple other guys. So I have a like primary developer that's been working with me since the very beginning of this whole project. And he does a lot of work on the back end. And then I do all the front end stuff for most of it for all of our projects. And then Brian has been doing a lot of the communication stuff.
Right.
And then I also have Brian do lots of other things. Like basically any day he might be asked to do something he's never done before kind of things,
but
and that's been our team since the beginning, basically, like the three
Yeah.
of us. And then we have an intern who's been helping out a lot.
Yeah.
And then we have we just got our second journalist, which is huge. And then over the last 2 weeks, we brought in two more developers, two professional developers. They're going to be building stuff with us.
Oh, so you're growing. So how do you personally kind of manage? Because for me to all the balls you have, I mean, I would probably be paralyzed and not do anything because I was trying to do so many things. So do you have a secret here, like a secret to staying focused on one thing at a time, or how do you do this?
A lot of it has to do with not thinking about the big picture in the middle of a job. Like,
right,
I know where the company is going to be in like 2 or 3 months, but if I'm in the middle of working on something and I think about the 10,000 things that have to happen between now and then in order to get there, that would be like super overwhelming. And for that would be, so really it's all about tunnel vision, putting one step in front of the other. And all those little steps, if you look back, you realize that you just walked like 10 miles, and you like it. You don't even realize how much you're getting done until you actually take a step back and you look at it all. Because any one of the projects we're working on, you could have a team twice the size building that would be half as far along. But I work 18 hours a day, 18 to 20 sometimes. Well, when we were doing we did a rollout on Sunday and Monday for Forum, the press release, and Algo Pay and AlgoGen 2.0 within like 48 hours. And I worked straight through Sunday and Monday without sleeping so I worked 36 hours straight, essentially, in order to get all that done. And then I slept fantastic. So I got caught up on a lot of sleep on Tuesday night, I believe. So that's what you have to do sometimes, because a normal person works 8 hours. If I work less than 18, I'll consider it a half finished day.
Okay, not a lazy day, but a half finished day.
Yeah, and it's hard to go to sleep if I have things that I know that I didn't finish. So it kind of eats at me if something's not done that I wanted to get done. So
yeah. So how is so Algo Pay? You just upgraded Algo Pay, and it's Algo Pay, AlgoGen. What's going on there?
Yeah. So a good way to think about Algo Pay is what you would put on the front end of your website. It's a button that has a pop-up that allows people to complete a transaction, either a donation or an item purchase on your website. So that's like the front end part, and the back end is how that actually gets made. And we have like this little form that you can actually just fill out. Like it'll be like, what's your ASA number? How much is this item's cost going to be? What address does it go to? You just fill it out, and it'll actually like generate a little JavaScript snippet for you to go and post on your website to create the button. And this upgrade we did was a massive upgrade. So like before, we had built the whole thing in React, which is kind of a complicated programming language that a lot of developers aren't very familiar with. And we were thinking about it after we released 1.0, and we're like, it really doesn't make a lot of sense that we built it with React if it's supposed to be used on the front end of websites where people are going to be just embedding a JavaScript snippet. So what we need to do is we need to rebuild it from scratch with just pure JavaScript, so that if people want to modify it, they don't have to like download a bunch of React programs and like learn how to do like Node.js stuff. So we went completely back to the drawing board, and we rebuilt it from scratch with pure JavaScript. So it'd be really easy for people to customize. And then we rebuilt the AlgoGen form as well, so that you could actually edit the style of the button right in the form. And then when you press generate, it generates your styled button right in the form. So like for people that aren't developers that have a hard time visualizing what they want something to be, unless they can actually see it. Well, now when you're filling out the form, you'll actually see your end button, and it actually works, and you'll be able to you can like technically send your transaction to make sure you filled it all out right.
That's
so it was cool. Like a major step forward in our goal to like basically make Algorand payments accessible to everyone. That's like our mission for AlgoPay.
And do you have numbers of how many people are using AlgoPay, or how many?
Not really. I mean, we have some. It's it's quite a few, but we have a like a contest right now, I guess you would say, that one of the first 100 companies that integrates it, we're going to donate 500 algos to. And we haven't reached 100 yet. I think we're at like 50 or 60 right now. But it's still huge, you know, for anybody building something that like, and the people that are using it, they love it because it like made their lives so much easier if they're doing donations or trying to do transaction stuff on their websites and they don't really understand coding, or they're using a platform that doesn't support a lot of complex customization.
Right.
So for all those people, it's huge.
Yeah. Is Wix, would Wix be compatible? I know I have a Wix account in cooperdaniels.com that I need to, you know, put together. But
yeah, a couple of my guys, they just posted a video where they do a Wix demo. They do a Wix demo and a WordPress demo to show people how you would add it to one of those websites.
Well, there you go. Is that where can people find that?
Where did they put it? I think they put it on our YouTube channel. I told them to cut it up so they can put it on Twitter as well. Cool. But it's definitely on our YouTube channel though for Headline Crypto.
Sweet. All right. So you mentioned Algo Cloud earlier. Did we cover that? Or do we feel good about because I know that's
not
one
really.
Of the
we had like
oh
man, briefly. I always so like for the audience, we talked for a couple of minutes before the camera started rolling, and sometimes it's hard to not talk about exciting things, and then it's hard to remember which exciting things you'd already talked about or which ones you didn't.
Exactly.
So anyway, Algo Cloud is a dashboard for people to see analytics for their different dApps and everything. But we didn't go into like a technical explanation of how it all works. So basically, you'll be able to sign in with like a Google Auth, or we're gonna do GitHub Auth, or there's a couple of different ways you can sign in, and then you basically get to create workspaces where you can organize your analytics in different ways. And then eventually we want to be able to make it so that you can connect to different dApps and actually be able to control them from within your dashboard. And then we have it set up so that, like, let's say you want to run an NFT project and you want to be able to organize your customers and organize all your different pieces. You'll be able to do all that from within the Algo Cloud dashboard.
Cool.
So there's a lot of like standard SaaS stuff in there that you'll be able to do. We're going to have functionality for email. We're looking at adding chat. So you would be able to like technically chat with all of your users. If you have like you could like add all of your users to your dashboard, and then you could actually be able to communicate with them as like micro communities within it. And then the really exciting stuff we're going to do is going to be called Algo Cloud Pro. So basically what we've talked about so far, those are all free features for people that are just part of the Algorand community. But with Algo Cloud Pro, we want to include things like fiat on-ramps, basically allow people to convert dollars into algos or different ASAs. We want to be able to do white label stuff for Algo Pay, like if you want to have a like custom version of it or use its functionality in a custom way, we can like build stuff for you. You'll have like data storage and a bunch of other premium features, like, and then we're going to be able to scale it up from there to like enterprise level stuff as well. So there's gonna be like a free model for everyone, and then like a paid model for like companies if they want to like run their companies off of it, and different like levels as well. Basically to make like our job would have been so much easier when we started Headline if all of this stuff was accessible in a dashboard. You know, we tried for so long to find a way to organize all of the different things we were working on and to be able to interact with Algorand and to be able to look at our analytics, and none of it existed, and it still doesn't for the most part. So we're like, let's just build it ourselves. You know, we'll be able to use it, and then the community can use it as well.
Yeah, you tweeted earlier today, or Headline tweeted, I don't know if it was you or not, but you said something along the lines of that you're the only company building and maintaining open source front-end tools for Algorand developers.
I did not say we're the only company. I said we're one of the only companies. We are, I guess you would say, the main company, maybe. I didn't want to make that kind of statement because I don't know what people are building or what might have been built that's really obscure. Right. But we're definitely the main one. We have some incredible companies that build on the back end. Reach does incredible things with smart contracts and construction and all that for smart contracts and programming. I'm trying to think if there's anything. There's a few demos, but as far as like a comprehensive suite of forkable demos and installable components in different languages, we have by far the most built out system by a lot, I think. And a lot of people don't know that because we talk about a lot of our like big community things in social media a lot, like forum or Algo Pay or AlgoCloud, but they don't realize that Pipline UI, which is our Algorand Foundation funded project, has this entire like suite of developer tools and components and things that are specifically for the developer community to be able to work with. Right. And some of the stuff that we're working on with it is really, really exciting that we haven't demoed yet.
So cool. Is Pipline UI kind of the first project that you worked on in the Algorand? Is that how you got your grant and kind of got started with Algorand? Or
it's like, so it's the first community project we worked on. We had started like everything with the HDL token, and we had done the first airdrop, and we were definitely like building the community in different ways, but we hadn't like started to build end user applications yet. So that was really the first step towards building end user applications. Even though Pipline UI is not an end user application, it is a user application though. So building something that developers could use was definitely the first step towards building something for the general public, which is what Algo Pay is and what Algo Cloud will be, and Forum is as well.
So last time we talked, Tiny Man was on the verge of being launched. And you said you guys were all going to get some popcorn and just watch and see how this played out. And I mean, I can imagine that it's probably gone better than you even expected, right? I mean,
oh my gosh. So Tiny Man, we did not know when it was going to launch because they had never set a date. So it launched like 2 hours before we went to the Texas Blockchain Summit. So while we were there, the first night and the next day is when it like started to take off, which was extremely exciting. And it definitely gave us like an air of credibility there as well, because like as we're trying to explain what headline is to different people that we're meeting, it makes our lives so much easier to be able to explain that there is a decentralized exchange where people can
get your token.
Yeah, where people can trade for it or look at the price action that's happening. And then we have to explain to them that the more complicated part, that while it is on there, it is on there entirely by the community's doing, and we are not active participants, and we have never profited off of the tokens that are on there. And that's that blew a couple people away. One person was like, "You are probably the only blockchain project ever that has not profited off of a token that has like at one point it had like a $9 million market cap like a couple of days ago. We have not accepted a single dollar from any of it." And that's something that just people can't understand that.
So, okay, we talked about this. I want to talk more about, I mean, a 9 million market cap, that's pretty intense for, this is just a brand new thing. And all you've done is a couple of airdrops, but
no documentation either.
Yeah, no. And I mean,
no roadmap.
Just there it is. And so what I know about it is that it's going to play a central role in Forum, the social network.
Yeah.
And so in order for Forum to operate properly, what's going to be necessary with HDL, and maybe just give us a quick breakdown. I know we talked about it last time, but just a quick breakdown on how HDL is going to work with Forum and what you need before Forum can go live.
Right. So it's important to note that everything that we talk about in regards to the token could change because of the state of regulation. It just it's in flux. So our plan for it is also in flux, depending on what the world throws at us essentially with it. But like I joke that the HDL token and Forum are quantum entangled. Like they are entirely dependent on each other. We really do not want to include advertising in forum, which is the main revenue model for social media, which is a very bad model for social media, because as soon as you are like monetizing advertising, which, if you think about advertising in like a cynical way, it's a bunch of people that are creative getting together and finding out a way to psychologically manipulate you to buy things, right? In a cynical way. There's lots of elegant ways of talking about advertising marketing too. I like both of them, but at the, from a cynical perspective, that's what it is. How can we psychologically manipulate people into buying these things? So when you use that as your revenue driver for social media, it's going to incentivize you as a developer to build a lot of really unhealthy interactions with the users of your social media platform.
And we all know that that's what's happened in social media. It goes beyond beyond advertising and into politics and misinformation and all of that. But
Right. So with forum, we don't want to rely on that at all. We don't want to use advertising if we don't have to at all. Like even if it came out in some form, it would not look anything like it does now, and it wouldn't have anything to do with user data or any of that stuff, because those are giant problems. But we don't have any intention of including it in any form. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, how will a social network generate any revenue?
I'm sure
that main revenue model.
I'm sure Ethan Welch is curious on how that would work as well.
Oh yeah, he's like we gotta start generating revenue. You gotta make it happen. He's like, you can't have anything. So the idea is that by making it a proof of stake platform, people holding the tokens and ideally being able to buy the tokens is how we'll be able to run the platform, because social networks can be a massive like server expense. Like, a couple hundred users, fine. Wait till you have 100,000. Wait till you have 500,000 users. Think about what your monthly energy bill is for that, let alone all the supporting staff you have to make sure it runs properly. It's huge. So the only way we need two things to happen. We need A, to be able to sell the tokens, and we need B, people to hold the tokens. Because if people hold the tokens and we're able to sell them, then it will make the price go up enough to be able to pay for the expenses of the platform.
Got it. So you need to be able to sell them yourself, is what you're
absolutely, because that is the main business model. We could do other things. I mean, we're experimenting with doing other things, but they aren't going to be revenue drivers. Like, we're looking at ways we're going to have an NFT marketplace on there, for example, and we're going to be looking to get distribution deals with NFT projects. So, like, let's say you're going to be making the next Algoannas or the next Algobots or something like that, right? Well, then Headline would reach out to you and be like, we want to give you 25% of the valuation of your entire project to host the sales on forum, right? So we would be basically buying the distribution rights for your NFT project, and then you would be doing the distribution exclusively through forum. So we're going to be looking at things like that, because those are ways to generate revenue as well. They're not going to be enough for a platform like forum, though, because we want to be able to scale into like massive numbers, and the HDL token is how it's going to happen. That's going to be like a primary driver of it.
Yeah. And I saw that you have some t-shirts too. That's probably not the primary driver.
That's a fun one that we're going to be. That's another thing that's going to happen. We didn't talk about it all. And something I'm really excited about personally. So we have a deal with one of the best American-grown Pima cotton producers in the country.
Okay, and it's all the way to the cotton producer.
Oh, I don't play around. I go right to the source. I actually contacted a couple of textile factories in Peru, because Peru's where that's where Pima's home homeland right there,
Yeah.
But we have some incredible strains of it here in the United States as well. And for your audience, if y'all don't know what Pima cotton is, so Pima cotton is extra long staple, and what that means is that it's it's more durable, and the more you wear it, the softer it gets. It's less likely to fray. It's extremely comfortable. It's more breathable. There's a ton of reasons that people like it, and clothing manufacturers love it because it gives anything that you're making a very like luxe feel. And people so I have samples here from it already, and I wear them constantly.
Nice.
If I'm gonna wear like a shirt to go to sleep, I'll put one of these shirts on. They're the kind of shirts that's like, if you have to pick a shirt out of your closet to just wear it to do something, you'll pick one of these shirts. They're that comfortable. And that was the goal, because I got samples from a bunch of different like textile companies here in the country, because there's a bunch of Pima cotton producers. Most of them aren't very good though. I mean, let me rephrase that, because that's a very broad statement. Some of them aren't very good.
There you go.
we found an incredible one. And
cool.
I'm really excited about getting.
So do you have shirts? Are they all designed, or are you still working on the design, or what?
We're finalizing the design this week, and we're going to do a pre-order beginning of next week. And they're going to be really they're going to be really affordable too. I don't want them to be expensive. So like,
cool.
It's comparable in a lot of ways to what you get at Vineyard Vines, for example, or something along those lines. But we're going to be charging either $24.99 or $29.99 for a shirt. You do have to pay for your own shipping and handling, because some people are like, will you be able to ship to Nigeria, or will you be able to ship to Ukraine? Be like, absolutely, but you're gonna have to pay for the shipping, because it's like, I feel bad like excluding people because it's really far away. And if you're shipping a $25 shirt to their side of the world, that's like the entire so if people are willing to pay for the shipping and handling on it, we'll ship anywhere, which is the plan. Of course. I have a poll on the headline website today asking what color people want, because I was trying to decide what color the first one should be, because it kind of like factors into what the design is going to be. But people seem to want black.
I was going to say, the way I picture it is black and white, but I mean, then you might be worried are you worried it's boring? Are you worried black and white's boring?
No, I don't think
that's not your concern.
Not really, because it's our entire brand, it's kind of real minimalist right now.
Because that's what I picture. Yeah, that's what I pictured anyway.
So black and white is that'll be fine.
Cool.
The cool part is they're not just t-shirts though. They have pockets. They're like pocket t-shirts. With this first one we're gonna do a screen print on it, and we'll probably have like a chest logo, and then something on a piece on the back. But we're gonna do other ones that we'll be able to do like the embroidered H on the pocket. So we're gonna do different limited edition drops, kind of like Supreme, but not $500.
Yeah, cool.
Is the plan for it. So we already have the manufacturing lined up for it. We'll be able to place the order as soon as the pre-order is complete. We have the screen shop selected that's going to do the printing, and then we just have to do the distribution part.
All right, so that sounds really cool. I know we're running out of time, and there's a couple of things more that I want to talk about. First, I mean, your list is long, man. Tell me what Libra Network is. What is Libra Network?
So I was in the Algo Fam chat on Sunday, and we were talking about it for a little bit. I've never talked in the Algo Fam. For people that don't know, Algo Fam chat is like a Twitter Spaces group that
on Sundays, right?
Yeah. I always listen in, but I never spoke before, because I use my my Twitter handle. A lot of people don't know. It's like I'm the Headline Inc. founder with the Twitter, and I would listen in, but I finally started talking in it, and I was having a conversation about what Libra Network is and what the big potential for it is, and what it's going to be. And the modeling and the testing we've already done is basically we can have it crawl a website, and it can analyze a piece of writing for the amount of relative bias in it. So it's like compiling an index of like hundreds and hundreds of words that are very closely attributable to a political perspective. Like if you're on the far left, you're very likely to use words like I'm not going to use any, for example, in this, but you get the idea, right? So our AI model is generating an index of words that are attributable to a political perspective, and then it can basically weight those in a piece of writing to determine the amount of relative bias. And we've done like 10 or 20 platforms so far, and it's largely accurate with like the public perception of a news platform is pretty accurate to what an AI model is going to determine the amount of relative biases. So like, I'm sure we can agree that something like Associated Press is pretty, down the middle. It's kind of a wire service. We can probably agree that the New York Times is left leaning, or that Fox News is right leaning. We can probably agree that Breitbart's far right, or that Mother Jones is far left, for example. And our AI model can also come to that same determination
based on somebody's post. Is that
well, it can crawl all of the content on a website, and it can analyze, and it can look for words that are attributable to a political perspective. And so it can then weight those words against other things on the website, and it could kind of rank them or weight them in a way of determining the amount of bias on the website.
And so would that be a tool for forum, for people's posts, to be like, you can almost grade the bias in the post? Or are you not interested in getting into that kind of like granular?
Oh no, that's the whole we want we want the moderation for forum to be very transparent, and we don't want to be in charge of it. We want the AI model we're building for the news platform, the Libra Network, we want it to be the moderator for forum, and basically be able to like gauge the amount of bias in any piece of writing on the platform. It's gonna be a while before we be able to actually use. That's a very complicated thing to actually put into production, but it's an excellent step towards where we want to be. One thing we're gonna be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean it sounds like if you could come up with a way for some, AI to determine bias and, grade certain things, and it's equally, it grades it to the, it exposes the left, it exposes the right in some sort of, but the conversation can continue. It's not like you're censoring. It's just that you're like, hey, just let you know that this seems to be the AI the AI is starting to say that this is really far left here, they
right.
keep on and then, but anyways,
one thing we're going to be doing in the short term, though, once we get to a certain size, is that one of the features we're going to be doing is we're probably going to do this. We haven't decided 100% yet, but we're going to require people that are making political posts to use a hashtag, either biased or unbiased. And you have to be honest with yourself when you're posting something, whether it's biased or unbiased, if it's a political post. So like if you're stating a fact, that's just pure fact. You could probably say unbiased because it's just a fact about, about something that's happening in politics. But if you say something like, every time I turn on TV, all I see is this, why can't blank happen in the government, right? You say something like that, you're required to use the biased hashtag. So basically, like, if we can get everybody to come to the table and understand that they're staking this position, because a lot of times when you post, or what I've seen on Facebook or on Twitter, you don't really think about, and this is specifically for politics. This isn't for other things. Like, it's really easy, especially if you're emotional about it, to not be able to look at it objectively, what you're saying, because there, especially if your emotions are high when you're posting something, what to you might seem like common sense, to everybody else might seem like somebody who has a really narrow perspective. So by requiring that people like look at themselves in the mirror before making a political post, I think it's gonna go a really long way towards having healthy conversations about politics, because that no matter what people use forum for, because you can use it for whatever you want.
Yeah.
Our goal has always been to create a platform where people can have constructive conversations about politics, and that's like if they can do that on forum will be a success.
Well, yeah. If you can create a place where people can have constructive conversation about politics, then forum will be a success, and it'll be very good for society. I mean,
Right. Oh,
because,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on, because it seems impossible. You have
Right.
everybody now is like Twitter is far left, and then now Trump's got his thing. It's just more and more division, like for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Right.
and so
Right.
so we'll see what happens.
A part of the problem with that is the people that are running these things, they have a very narrow political perspective, and that's pretty clear. Like we all know what Jack Dorsey's politics are. We all know what
Yeah.
Trump's politics are, and if that's your starting point with a social network, how much room is there for people to be able to express themselves, right?
Yeah.
Because if we could probably point to any platform, and we could, I mean, some of them are pretty vague, and we might, Mastodon, for example, that's open source. Who knows what their politics are, right? They might be anarchists for all we know. But for the main platforms, you can probably tell pretty accurately what their political position is, right? So of course they're gonna even if it's completely implicitly, they're gonna kind of shape the narrative to conform to their political perspective, which is why a trust platform might be just as bad as Twitter, because that's your starting point. And when you do that, there's not a lot of room for having healthy political discourse.
Yeah. Well, man, that's exciting. So, all right. I mean, look, I feel like we did our best to cover this. I noticed earlier today you guys posted a new article, headline news. I don't think we talked about headline news at all, by the way.
Not yet today. There's a few other things we're leaving out. We really need it really needs to be like a Joe Rogan style 3.5 hours,
where I know,
break out the whiskey and cigars, and
there we go,
a little something else at some point.
I like it. Yeah, have our Elon Musk moment,
right? Be like, do you really think there were humans on Mars 10,000?
Yeah, just really go there. I'm down. Right? I'm down. We got to do that.
Have you ever had elk meat?
I actually haven't. Have you? Are you a big game? Are you a game?
Have.
Yeah.
I don't, but I would. I would go hunting if there was an opportunity. I'm too busy. I don't do anything right now other than. I'm more of a what is it called? I believe I would not kill anything that I didn't eat. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in sport hunting necessarily.
Yeah.
But then again, I would eat anything probably. So
you're good. Yeah, I grew up in a hunting family, an Italian hunting family, and
oh, great, me too.
So there was a lot of deer heads on the wall, and venison, and different things, and worse things. But all right. So, but anyways, today you guys released it.
Headline news, yeah,
yeah. So headline news, you had a new article today. So about the NBA top 75 players of all time, right?
Yeah. So we have a new journalist that's going to be doing a lot of sports commentary. Cool. And this was his first article, and it's great. He already has another one done. This one's about crypto, actually. So it's looking at different players and their crypto holdings, like Tom Brady and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Really interesting. We'll be publishing that one tomorrow.
I like that article.
Oh, it's going to be, yeah.
So that's so cool. Looking at athletes and their crypto positions. That's cool.
Yeah. So I was having a chat with him about trying to find some interesting angles, because the big thing about headline news is that we're interested in covering things that aren't being covered by other platforms, right? So what can we add to this conversation that's because we're not interested in normal news coverage. Whatever we do has to have an interesting angle that you don't see other places, so that there's actual value to the readers, and it's not just regurgitating the same thing. So he started to put together a bunch of different pieces that have a lot of interesting perspectives, and he's really into sports specifically. He knows a lot about sports journalism, so that's going to be his primary role, at least in the short term. But we've talked about him doing some other stuff as well.
That's cool.
And then our other journalist, he just finished up a piece. I think we're gonna be publishing it in a couple hours. This one's really interesting.
Nice.
It's about the housing inequality in Austin, and whether or not that's like reflective of where the rest of the nation's headed. With I'll go into a lot of detail how basically incentivizing companies to buy like these short-term housing properties, and how there's like a lot of different things that have basically created an environment where just like middle class people are getting completely forced out of affordable housing situations in cities where it should be protected, essentially.
Well, for sure. I mean, and that
Yeah.
I live in Los Angeles, and when I was thinking it might be possible to buy a house a couple years ago, it was like you get outbid by foreign,
It's obscene.
you get outbid by Asia, just
or LLCs or
yeah, just
yeah,
and they just come in, they go
right.
over the price, and then they just price everybody out that actually lives in the city,
Yeah,
families that just want
right.
a home.
So you end up
I had a
with New York
buddy.
City. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I had a buddy that bought a house last December, and he just got lucky that the person he was buying it from, he had some sort of personal connection. They found out afterwards, but they put in an offer that was like 50 grand under price or under asking, and then last minute some company came in and overbid. And this guy liked my buddy, so he was like, you know what? If you do this, then I'll still sell it to you for like I think it was like 100 grand less. So he got lucky that, because most people would be like, well, that's 100 grand. I'm going to take my 100 grand. But this guy had some sense wanted a nice family to move into his house. So it was an emotional thing. It was an emotional decision for him. But yeah, it's unfortunate what's happening with housing for sure.
And so like it's really more of a featured piece because he goes into a lot of detail about different perspectives that are a part of this. Like, because if you're a renter, for example, you're gonna basically get forced out of like living near your place of work if you live in different parts of Austin, for example. I know it's like that in California a lot too, and that's a huge problem because as soon as you put that burden on the middle class that they can't even live close to where they work, think about all the other expenses that comes with that, whether it's childcare or having to do long commutes, spending less time with your kids, and then one thing leads on top of another, and it's like you have to have some kind of common sense thing that like things like and this is just totally me saying things that are not my company's stance or anything. These are just like personal opinions, things like how housing in a city, don't allow companies to buy residential property at more than 50% of the total available property. Things like that would be like common sense, right? Because if you have companies that are outbidding each other to buy residential property that they're not going to live in, that's a problem. I was reading in, I think it was somewhere in California, about how an LLC had started buying a property in a neighborhood and ended up forcing out the entire neighborhood, essentially, to buy.
So it's an empty neighborhood. Now they're going to sell, for whatever they want to sell or whatever.
Oh, they can jack up the prices, and then that can in turn because LLCs have a lot of other motivations when they're buying property than just for that. Because like they could be buying property to drive up the property somewhere else completely. That's like not even related, and they don't. And it's like that across the board everywhere, because there's so much money that's going into residential housing by companies that have all kinds of different reasons that are, so like things like that to make sure that that housing doesn't get catastrophically expensive.
Well, yeah, and
a lot of that stuff's covered.
In the area that I live during COVID, there were these brand new, apartment buildings everywhere that were not being filled, and they were sticking to their insane prices. It just makes no sense for how much the rent was. And, I think that, like you're saying, there's other reasons they didn't need them filled for some reason. I don't really understand all that, but I don't.
Well, sometimes companies have to spend money. So like if you have a company, that a certain type of company, and you have a lot of like cash on your balance sheet, you could get approached to be like, you guys have to figure out some way to spend all this money. Otherwise it's going to look really bad on our taxes. Right. So like they'll actually go out and spend money that they don't need to on things like that so that it's not in their cash balances for all kinds of different reasons. So when you let those people into the residential housing market, it creates, so many problems. So many problems.
So that article is coming out today.
I think so. That's the plan. Yep.
Right.
And it's pretty thought provoking.
That sounds good. And then in a less serious note, the article that came out earlier is about the NBA top 75 players and how there is a bias towards the older generation players to the newer generation players. And I agreed to that point, just for the record, that Klay Thompson should not have been left off of the top 75.
Right. Right.
And
Are you a Golden State fan?
I am a Golden State fan since the 80s, so I've been through it. I've suffered through it. But, and not your writer didn't mention that Klay Thompson is also a very good defender, and he is a very underrated defender. So
yeah, anyways. Absolutely. Yeah. All you have to do is see what happens after he gets hurt.
Yeah, we fell apart. I mean,
yeah, it's happened a few times.
He'll be back. What are you a Rockets fan or a Spurs?
Oh, I don't believe in Spurs anymore. I lost faith in them.
I don't believe in them.
7 or 8 years. I used to be a Spurs fan. I think that Popovich needs to retire. He's ran it into the ground at this point. Nobody wants to play there anymore. Well, not only that, but the NBA has changed. It used to be NBA was all about small ball. It was all about team. It was all about defense and passing. But now there's like enough of these like superstars that if you put 2 or 3 of them together, you have a winning formula 9 times out of 10. And when you have teams that are scoring 160, 170 points a game, 180 or more, right? Some of these games with the Rockets last year, the year before, goes like 230 points or insane numbers. And the Spurs play best when they can keep the score under like 120. So like,
he's like
with Popovich's like style. So yeah,
I don't even know who's on the Spurs anymore.
No one, like their big guy that they signed, like what's his name? He went to go play for the Nets, I think. They had a big guy that they had signed.
LaMarcus Aldridge?
Yeah.
Or no? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
Nobody wants to play there.
I know, man, but I thought Popovich had a good had a good reputation with the players, but I don't know.
Well, it's not that he has a bad reputation. It's just that his entire style of play is just it's just the game has evolved, and he's one of the people that have not evolved with it, unfortunately. Yeah. And he got really lucky because like between 99 and 2001, he got so lucky. Well, first we had the first pick in the draft with Tim Duncan.
Right.
We already had David Robinson, and then they got Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker.
Yeah,
and like they got super lucky. So what are the odds that because Popovich has always had that style. That's been his like game plan. What are the odds that he found the perfect players to complement his style of basketball in back-to-back years? So basically, like for him having those players is like a team like the Nets having their superstars, right?
Yeah,
is what they needed, and that's not going to happen again for the Spurs unless they get lucky again. But that might take 30 or 40 years. But Popovich may not be around any longer.
In 30, 40 years?
Yeah, he might not make it another 30.
He might not make it to 30, 40 years,
He might, though.
But he's been there probably 30.
The problem, though, is that, like, it's almost like religious, the fanaticism for the Spurs in San Antonio. So, if you turn on the nightly news, there's no talk at all about Popovich retiring. So
they don't want it.
They won't even consider it. They'd rather him just run it into the ground until it becomes like a D-League summer team or something, than actually try to change the climate or get a new. We should be looking to hire one of these assistant coaches from one of these winning teams that could come in and I've always said that they should start looking to bring in some stars. Like I thought it would be great if they'd gotten Kyrie Irving to go to San Antonio, because I know that he was in talks, and some of these other players.
It seems like they're pretty hell bent on these kind of low key players.
It's trash. It's a stupid formula that doesn't work anymore. I get opinionated talking about sports too.
Yeah, well, it's almost like they okay. First thing is that we want Tim Duncan's personality. Who has Tim Duncan's personality, and then we'll bring it on. Like just a mild-mannered kind of guy, but But Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and all that, those teams were good. Those were good teams.
I'm trying to think of any players that really are that mild-mannered type of. I guess Kevin Durant is in some ways. He's a very calm, patient presence in some way. I mean, he has a lot to say off the court about a lot of things, but his presence on the court reminds me of Tim Duncan a lot of. I've always been a big Kevin Durant fan.
Yeah, well, I was until it all fell apart. Yeah.
Oh, that was That
no, I mean, I respect. Yeah, that was sad. Yeah. We were on a roll, but him and Draymond Green just couldn't get along. That was the problem. And Draymond Green feels like he's kind of hard to get along with. So
I like Draymond. Well, I think he's entertaining to watch. I love. Sure. Oh yeah, oh man, there've been a couple players like that. These like the bad boys that are going to end up with the six fouls and end up getting benched or whatever. Yeah, and he's definitely one of them that you're like, oh, you got to watch. What is this guy going to do? Or what's the guy's name for the Sixers?
You mean from back in the day or now?
No, he plays now. He's their big guy. What's his name?
Right. Oh man, come on. No,
we're all talking about basketball.
We're not going to. This won't end unless a week. Joel Embiid.
Yeah, Embiid. Yeah, I love watching. Yeah, I'll watch the Sixers just watch Embiid play because he's like Draymond Green. He's like
it's
he makes Embiid the magic happen.
And Embiid and Draymond are those guys that are you like them if they're on your team, but you hate them if they're not on your team.
Or if you're just like me and you're unbiased when you're watching sports and just like that's a great analogy for how I feel about politics a lot of times because it's like I like players a lot more than I like teams. I'll watch basketball games because I like certain players, and politics is a lot the same way. It's like I like a lot of people from both sides of the aisle, and forget about whether they're Republicans or Democrats. Let's look at the people themselves and their their own character and their individual life experiences and policy positions, and forget about everything else.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it because I do believe that tribalism and just like taking that team mentality to politics and society, and no matter what you're, like I said, you like Draymond Green if he's on your team, but if he's not on your team, you might not like him. And so if that mentality doesn't translate well to us all having constructive dialogue and getting along with each other as individuals, if that makes any sense.
No, it really does. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Hey, Aaron, this was great. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for hanging out for an hour and 8 minutes. I mean, I have a feeling we could have talked about basketball for a bit longer.
Well, we could do another hour. I got some free time.
You got some time.
We could go. We do basketball. We could do World Series
what would be
stuff.
Next? What do we got? The Braves. I don't even pay attention. I'm not even paying attention. Braves and Astros. Is that what we got?
I haven't watched. I've been watching it all.
Good. See, we can't. See, we found our. I haven't been either. The fact that I know that, I'm impressed. But let's do this more. I mean, we're already doing it often, but let's do this regularly. I like it.
Yeah, I think we should do it every week.
Oh yeah, let's do it. We'll talk about things. Let's try to make it happen.
Let's make it happen. All right,
brother. All right. See you later.